A very good morning to you.
Very good morning, Amritesh. Nice to be here.
Thanks for coming for the interview of HTBD, How to Do Business in Dubai. So we had so many nice people in our interviews, and I'm very thrilled to interview today. And we'll start from your introduction, your love, life, laughter in Dubai, and how it has all come up, and where you are, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, it's a pleasure and thank you for having me. So I'm based in Dubai for the last 18 plus years. First in professional capacities as the head of marketing for Middle East, Africa, Europe for a company called Himalaya Herbals. We established way back in 2003, 2002, just about a year before I came into Dubai, the headquarters for the business from Dubai, and eventually launched business in about 50 plus countries from this office.
Oh, wow.
So I worked with them for about 11 years till 2015, and then eventually created my own startup, which was
nice.
which was Switzerland based. The production used to happen in Switzerland. However, I continued to live in Dubai and used to keep doing up and down between Dubai and Switzerland.
Yeah.
So the back end was created in Switzerland, and the front end I created in Dubai. And more recently, I've sort of exited that startup, and today I'm doing a lot of consulting work and the likes of it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, I mean, the interesting thing is that you have done your own startup in Dubai.
That's right.
So I would want to ask you something about your experience into B2C segment. You have been into the marketing FMCG sector and all that. So your experience into B2C sector when it comes to digital presence, how it works out in Dubai and how it aids the businesses and especially B2C segment.
Sure. So it's been, if I look at the context of Dubai, see, Dubai has always been on leading edge of technology in many ways. So as we've evolved the technology globally, having done business in more than 50 countries, I've got exposed to the trends or the speed at which those trends are catching on in different parts of the world. And having lived in Dubai, I've seen what those technologies have done in Dubai and the speed of adoption that has happened. So what has been always very interesting for me is that when a technology comes by, the speed at which the government, the way the government understands it and brings it into the forum, and then how the audience here or the business community or the people at large, they adopt to it, and they take it forward from there. So that's something which I've always found. Digital presence for consumer businesses, I think, has evolved in the last 8-10 years in this region. Again, I go back to the time when I was heading marketing in Himalaya, and digital presence used to be almost like a tick mark on the box, right? I mean, for any marketing, you would want to do a tick mark. Okay, I also do digital. Today, businesses are running their entire operations only with digital presence. I mean, there is no traditional media being used. The entire marketing strategy is being devoted to how to done.
And I think you would agree to the way Amazon and Noon have shaped up this market.
Absolutely.
And the way the ultra fast grocery and Noon fast delivering 15 minutes.
Yeah, so it's been very interesting on the e-com space as well in the region overall and Dubai specifically, that there have been these e-com players who've come in, they've done the bit that they've done probably in the other parts of the world as well. But one very interesting thing beyond that has happened is the adoption of e-com platforms or selling online by the traditional retail. Now, while many of the other retailers around the world resisted, creating their own online platforms, wanting to drive people only into their retail stores, retailers here took on that on the online selling platforms of their own. So when we look at as a consumer business and we look at the e-com potential, it's not just only the likes of Amazon and Noon, who are of course very large. We're talking about also the online platforms of the traditional retailers where the online sales are happening from.
And I think the digital presence has given us some kind of a boost to the startup scene in UAE.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the new businesses who want to enter, and the proximity of covering the distance within Dubai, you know, like you can move from one part of the country to another part of the country in 3 hour stretch.
Yeah.
I think it gives a lot of opportunity for the new startups to come up in the digital arena.
True, you're absolutely right that that has changed. Actually, it's not so specific only for Dubai, because that's the evolution that has happened for the startup world around the globe, where because of the ease at which you can reach a consumer, the speed at which you can build up your supply chain infrastructure or distribution infrastructure, which earlier it used to take a lot of money and a lot of time, now you can do that fairly fast through the digital platforms. It is what is specific, I feel, about Dubai and the startup places, the ecosystem. You know, so this is the digital part is true probably globally, but not every place in the world has created the ecosystem friendly enough for a startup. So I in my roles have also in the last few years, having created my own startup, built it to a certain scale, exited that startup with valuation, also do startup mentoring a lot. You know, so I connect with a lot of founders, and many of them, when I ask them this question, you know, that why did you choose Dubai as a place? So there are two things which always stand out. One is the ecosystem, always saying that the ecosystem is there, I'm able to do what I want to do. And the second is that it allows you this testing mindset. So Dubai, as a business community in Dubai, has been forward-looking, has been always a community which thinks about, okay, let me try this.
Yeah.
You know, and that mindset, I think, is inculcated in our behavior as people who've operated from this market. And saying we don't get scared with trying and testing and, you know, getting out there.
And I think, that's a very valid point. And of always back of mind, I have this, that when it comes to the testing, there are, you know, the people. And when you talk about people of Dubai, you have people coming from 170 different parts of the world, you know, different countries. So if you want to launch and test something with the people who are ready to test something.
True. So that's the other way. I think you bring up a very interesting point about the number of different nationalities and the diversity of this place.
Yeah.
It provides a very unique opportunity. So again, like I've sort of mentioned, that since I build businesses in multiple countries in different geographies, what I used to find very interesting when I used to travel into a particular country and, you know, see the competition set that I would be looking at, somewhere or the other, most of the times those competition brands were already present in Dubai. So it was not unique for me. When I used to see those brands there, I would say, okay, I mean, this brand is already there. I've already witnessed this. So the sheer number of brands that can exist because of the different nationalities, the different preferences that they appeal to is again something very unique that Dubai provides, you know.
There's one thing very interesting, and I think you would be the right person to throw some light on it, about product quality, because that is something which is of paramount need. What kind of difference you have seen if, let's say, someone wants to start a business in Dubai, what they should have back of their mind when it comes to the B2C segment, the product quality, how far it matters, and what should be kept in mind when they are launching a product or something in this market?
Sure. There are, I would say, there are two aspects of, or rather, you know, there is a spectrum of every aspect of your quality, right? I mean, so from very poor to the aha kind of quality, right? So beyond the surpassing customer expectations and things like that. I always tell this to people who are from the consumer space who ask me, you know, my experiences. I say, be careful about this, that Dubai consumers have one of the highest exposures to multiple brands, multiple categories, global trends. So something which you may have gotten away with in terms of poor quality in some country, you may not get away with in Dubai. Because the Dubai consumer is a discerning consumer. The people are exposed to multiple things, you know, so they will catch your the gap in your quality very, very quickly. You know, it is not something which will be lost on them. It will be something they will catch very quickly.
Very nice. That's a very valid point, that when it comes to, you know, consumers in Dubai, they are so knowledgeable and exposed that you would not get away that easily. So probably the businesses have to keep in mind that quality should be something, even if whatever you're promising,
Sure,
not necessary from just the point of view
yeah,
of
I would say it's a value proposition, right? I mean, so
exactly,
at the end of the day,
exactly.
you're talking about a certain value proposition that you have with your brand. If you're not meeting your value proposition, the Dubai customer will not let you succeed in the market. So it's very, very clear. Also keep in mind that there is another specific area on the specific area of product quality. There is another aspect to it, which is the government bodies. So over here, it's not that there are random checks happening in the marketplace for consumer products, right? So it's not something that again you can get away with kind of a mindset that many countries, the systems, the bureaucracy is so lax that okay, you get away with stuff. Now,
In fact, I remember there was someone who was telling me that in a cafeteria or a restaurant, if there are more than 3 cockroaches found, your license is cancelled.
absolutely, absolutely. I think it's part of the thought process of Dubai providing that ecosystem. See, I want as a business guy, I want a safe place to operate. I want a place where cheap knockoffs will not be able to just eat into my business. I spend all the money and the effort to create quality, and somebody else just gets away with the poor quality and
Right.
promising something and not delivering it. And the government is quite cognizant of it, I guess, because they provide that infrastructure for a reason, saying that look, the people who are doing honest, straightforward business, we need to protect them.
Right, that's right. So related to the same point of product quality, there is one very important element associated, and this kind of a trade-off which always exists: pricing. What do you think about Dubai marketing? And very important aspect for businesses. What kind of pricing works here? Do you think that something, because what people know about Dubai is a bling, Dubai bling, And you throw some light that there are two sides of it. One, the price which could be exuberant, the other the price which is affordable, and how the products lie in these two categories.
So, pricing for any consumer business starts from, or rather any aspect, but pricing more so, it starts from understanding the customer segments that operate. So if you think of even a country which is fairly homogeneous, even there are different price segments operating. Now, transport yourself to a place like Dubai, which we've been sort of talking about, is such a diverse place with people from so many different nationalities at all the different income spectrums. The customer segmentation is far more intense here. So I would say price is always important in a consumer business from a value proposition, because at the end of it, there is a certain the consumer's decision point comes from the fact that okay, I'm being offered this product. Is the price right for the value that I'm getting or not? Right? More so in a place again like Dubai, where information free flows. So you have very easy access. You have structured information, data available. We talked about the digital part of it. So today you can just pretty much go on to every single retailer's website and check the price. Right. So that has changed the way people think about pricing in the consumer space as well, because earlier you could sort of again some people would want to get away with pricing which was not right for them, but today you can't, because you have that consumer having the access.
So if I ask you, as from your FMCG segment, do you think that a lot of time value propositions surround in Dubai in the FMCG sector around discounting, or is it the product quality which, I mean, no doubt product quality is of paramount need, but is that discounting which works a lot in Dubai, or is it something that
I would say, okay, again, in my experience of having seen multiple markets around the world, and then if I have to put Dubai in context of that,
other markets,
because it's all reference based, right? I mean, it's all relative. So if I have to make a relative comparison, I would say it's at par in terms of the discounting and things in the consumer space. It is not something which I see, it's exceptionally discount heavy, or it is something, okay, no, discounts are not even important here. It's not that at all. It's actually fairly in line with what you see in consumer businesses in most parts of the world. Discounting is always important in consumer businesses. It attracts, that's the way we marketers attract the attention of the consumers, and those tools are being used by the Dubai consumer brands as well as they're being used in any part.
That's cool. Related to the same point as you just mentioned, marketing and branding. Your opinion or advice about Dubai, if someone wants to do marketing and want to do branding activities in here, what's the best method to adopt? Which media channels? The television or the online media channels, or billboarding, or above the line, below the line? What do you think should be the right way to go ahead when it comes to the media and marketing activities?
So I would say it has got to do with the context of your brand, your target segment. The place itself provides you the opportunity to do everything, right? So whether is TV effective, yes it is. Whether print effective, yes. Whether radio is effective, yes. Whether online is effective. And in fact, Dubai also one of the cities which provides a fairly large OOH or out of home advertising platform. Many cities are not geared up for very nice out of home this. Dubai is geared up for that. I mean, the beautiful infrastructure of roads or the public transportation that has come up in the recent times in terms of the Dubai metro. So you have a huge opportunity to target the local audience from the from the out of home standpoint as well. Digital, like any other part of the world, is growing very, very heavily in terms of preferred choice for media for most of the consumer companies. So it all depends on the scale and size of the audience that you want to reach, how targeted you want it to be.
If I ask you to compare a bit, because you have been operating in so many markets, when it comes to the pricing for or the cost involved in the above the line activities of the marketing, be it print media or television, compared to the other markets, how costly or how cheaper? What is the
I think that's a very valid or a good question, because we as marketers, we always try and find what we typically use terms like CPT and CPCs and stuff like that. If I look at in terms of traditional media first, because digital again it depends on so many different factors. If I look at the traditional media, typically I would say it's on the above average in terms of the cost per thousand kind of a scenario. If I compare it to some of the expensive media markets in the West, I would say it's cheaper. But if I would have to compare it with, let's say, the subcontinent, I would say that definitely it's more expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
But compared to the Western markets, it is cheaper. And compared to Europe also it is cheaper.
And I would say probably in some ways slightly more effective. Again, in terms of the kind of, it's also got to do with the maturity and the saturation levels of a certain market.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're operating in a market which is either stagnant or degrowing, as many of those Western markets have become, and you're operating in a market which is growing at 10, 15, 20% in many categories, or let's say even after the slowdowns and all that, operating at 5, 10% growths, the returns on those investments are very different, right? I mean, so it's eventually, as a business, you don't only worry about the cost side, you worry about the return side on the investment.
Right.
And those returns are far better then.
That's cool. Super. So related to the marketing activities, one thing which is very important, and I think a lot of people would want to know, the localization, the customization. So from that point of view, what do you see in customers? Like, what is so different about the customers in Dubai, wherein you see that there should be a bit of an element of localization?
Right.
So can you throw some light on some facts which are related to localization of a business when someone is coming from a foreign part of the world to Dubai and they want to do some kind of a business? I'll give you an example. Like I love the fusion of the food, like Japanese and Indian. So this is a bizarre thing which has been started, but I don't know. I've seen some of the joints in Dubai where they're doing a fusion of Japanese and the Indian food. So like, I don't know how sushi has been made in there, but there's a fusion happening. So I don't know how, but localization, how it works out for you.
So let me sort of address this from a consumer businesses standpoint, of FMCG businesses standpoint. See, you have to also be, I mean, we've we've given some of the reasons of it during our discussion already, saying that because the consumer is one, exposed to multiple ethnicities. Second is that it's a global city, so a lot of people travel a lot from here. They get exposed to the global trends. They are an upwardly mobile population, so they look outwards and see what's happening around the world. So therefore, there is a uniqueness about the consumers here, and till the time you understand that appropriately, you can't bring in your stuff just straight off like that and expect the consumer. You have to make adaptations. I always advise anybody who's asking me, so these are my products. So take the effort. We have the ecosystem here to do market research, to do consumer research. There are well-established players in that space. Take the effort of understanding the market, understanding the consumer, because what you would know of a French consumer in France is going to be different from the French consumer here. What you know of an Indian consumer in India would be very different from an Indian consumer here, because the exposures are different. They have adopted some of these other cultural thought processes as part of their own, so there is a certain uniqueness to it. So please understand that before you try and assume that just because the person is of a certain background, they would find certain things appealing or not appealing.
That's right. From your vast experience, can you give one example to it? Anything wherein you might have done in your experience localization for this market? Anything related to the FMCG sector?
So when we talk about, I think the best example I can think of on this is, because I worked with a company for a long time, which was in herbal space. Now you're talking about herbs which typically would not be known by many people outside of that nationality. In my case, this company was using herbs which were from the Indian origin, from the Ayurvedic standpoint, right? So typically you would not expect the other nationalities to be familiar with these herbs. Now, as you started taking it to the market in this region, you realized that many of these people who were exposed to Indian people from their friends and their business community were already familiar a little bit with, maybe they didn't have the same understanding of the heritage and all the details of it. But it was not that they were unaware of it. Now, this is not something you would expect from that nationality in their home country. But in this case, you suddenly were pleasantly surprised in my case that they had a familiarity with some of these herbs.
That's nice.
So it became a slightly different marketing thought process to market to them visibly.
Localization became easier for
absolutely,
you.
For in that case.
That's nice. So last point related to the same aspect of B2C segment which we are covering, customer experience, because finally covering the marketing, the localization, pricing, product quality, customer experience, how to enhance the customer experience in Dubai.
Promise only what you deliver what you promise. I think in this place, you don't overpromise and underdeliver. Because consumers are discerning, they like to try new things, so everybody has an opportunity. It's not a place where people are closed-minded and therefore new things will not work or they won't try new things. So that's the opportunity part of it, and the sort of watch out for you is that it's a discerning consumer. So be careful. Promise only what you deliver
what you promise. That's nice, beautiful. Thank you so much, Prashant. But before I go off from this interview, I would want you to give one good advice. Take a deep breath, and one good advice for people who want to come and do business or work or live in Dubai.
So I would say give it a shot. Give it a shot, because you will be pleasantly surprised. The number of people who have, through my interactions with the different nationalities in different countries, when they would find out that my headquarters was Dubai, and they would say, okay, but why Dubai? And I would say, I would organize a meeting for them, just come and visit. And trust me, once you come here, once you see the realities on the ground, the safety of everything. I mean, we travel around the world, we have to watch out. I have to remind myself I'm not in Dubai, okay? Because your reflexes go away. You get so tuned to being safe. Nobody's going to jump you from a side. You're not going to be mugged. There's so much of safety built around your everyday life that you got to remind yourself almost, when you're traveling, saying that, look, you're not in Dubai.
Yeah.
So be careful,
Be careful. Give it a shot. Yeah. Super. Thank you so much, Prashant.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.